talk for a moment, please?
I will talk for more than a moment. I will
Ooh.
talk for a moment. Is it 2 minutes or is it 3? I think a moment is 3 minutes, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
What is the definition of a moment? How long is a moment? 90 seconds.
Oh, wow, that's a lot shorter. Well, half, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose a couple is 2, isn't it? A few is 3.
Yes, couple is 2.
So a moment is 90 seconds, all right. Sure. We can define all of these very short periods of time with random words rather than just saying 2 minutes.
What is time? The only clock I go by is the doomsday clock. Just waiting for it to tick to midnight and just end it all. But there you go. There you go.
And what a lovely place to start us for our episode. Welcome, friends, to Tanked Up, the podcast all about beer and video games. It's episode 357. I think that's what I just typed. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, here with Lucy.
Hi, Ben.
Hey.
Hi.
It's our first episode not in a January. So, I think that calls for a celebration, Lucy. That calls for beers.
Yes, it does. Yeah. I want to know what big boy you've got. What 41 degrees? Degrees? Wish it was 41. No, maybe not. Maybe during the day, but not at night.
Yeah, bit
that
hot.
Was awful last
year. You think about lying down in bed at 41 degrees, like.
With aircon, all right, but not in this country.
Absolutely.
Yes, 41%. I meant to say, like that BrewDog beer that they brewed that was 41 or something.
I will disappoint you. It's not 41%. But I am
31.
No. Come down.
11.
Down. Not even 11. It's 8. It's 8%.
Okay. We can go with that. That's
I got a can of Putty. Yes, from Verdant.
You did.
Putty, 8% DIPA, Azaka, Galaxy, Mosaic. That's all it gives me.
Oh.
Fine.
Yes, I had it on tap a few weeks ago, and It's very nice.
Yes.
I wouldn't say it's indistinguishable from previous years. It's just that I can't tell the difference.
It's hard to remember a year ago.
It very much is.
Hard to remember this morning.
Yep. Especially depending on how many beers you've had. Hard to remember the last hour.
What are you drinking, Lucy?
I already cracked mine because I had it with dinner, which I've just finished just now. So I thought, why not? It's a Burning Sky beer because I haven't had them in ages, and they're like kind of really highly regarded, aren't they? But yeah, I just haven't. I don't know why. Where I just never picked them up or just passed by them. But spoilers. That's stupid on my part because this is very nice beer. But this is Indecision Time A.I.M.S. Whatever that means. It is a 5.6%. A pale ale. Yeah. 440ml can. It's got. Oh, here we go. There's some flavor text on the back. Indecision Time is a modern pale ale that changes from brew to brew to highlight individual New World hops.
Nice.
This time, the quadruple hit of Amarillo, Idaho 7, Mosaic, and Simcoe.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the 4 hops. Malted wheat, oat malt, malted barley. Suitable for vegans. Yeah, 5.6% pale ale.
Nice. As you've cracked it and you're drinking it, how is it?
It's really good. It's more bitter than I expected. Maybe I mean with 4 hops in it. Maybe I should have expected it to be bitter, but yeah, it's got a nice, definitely piney. It's got a nice bitterness. I know we always harken back to it's got a like grapefruit. It's got that kind of bitterness where it's still kind of fruity at the same time, but Yeah, it's got a nice bit of body to it as well. I'd say medium-bodied.
Mm.
I mean, look at the head on that. I mean, I poured this probably about half an hour ago, and it's still got like this very fluffy, pillowy uh, head to it, and it's really nice lacing on the glass. It's a really good-looking beer. Yeah, it smells a bit peachy.
Okay.
Probably a bit stone fruity. Maybe a bit of lychee in there as well. But yeah, just a really, really solid beer. Really well balanced with the getting that fruit, those stone fruits in there. And yeah, with a nice bit of bitterness and pine. Just really good. Like
Nice.
I'm gonna pick up more Burning Sky in the future. I don't know why I've just neglected them.
Yeah, I don't see them a huge amount over here. I know I went to Bottles and Books as well. I got a can of Putty during the week because I was over that way for a meeting. And I thought, while I'm here, I said I was going to treat myself to some beers I don't generally see a lot of. I didn't notice Burning Sky in there, but they have historically had them in quite a lot. So I think I'm going to have to try and find an excuse next week to get over there again and see if there's anything I can find. Because we were talking about the kind of, and we talked about it a little bit last year as well, about the kind of the year of beer, with the book we both read last year, kind of charting through the different kinds of styles and things. And we were, again, during January, sort of saying, oh, should we start with table beer, some lighter stuff? Maybe the Saisons will start to come in and the pales and things. And it's just sort of like, just go to beer. Just go to good beers. Doesn't really matter, does it? What kind of beer it is. Just needs to be good. That's it.
Yeah, this is timeless. Yeah, there's just something very subtle about it, like, or maybe not subtle, just not in your face. I mean, it's not like a in your face like fruit bomb. I mean, at 5.6%. I mean, it's in fact saying that it's probably like getting the same amount of flavor across as like a double IPA that you'd expect, something like Putty. But it's just doing it in a way where it's just like, yeah, here you go. No frills. It's just an excellent beer, but
nice.
Just packed with tons and tons of flavour. I mean, 4 hops, especially these hops like Mosaic, Amarillo, Idaho 7. Like, yeah, you're gonna get a lot of flavour in that. But yeah, it's just a really good beer. I very much enjoyed this.
Good. Yeah. I do like Burning Sky for their saisons. I say it's not the season for saisons, but Burning Sky do some very good saisons. I think they've one of the kind of only breweries with an Earthship as well, aren't they? I think.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, because I think I did see a saison from them in the shop, but I was like, I feel like the cheaper beer. I think it was the cheaper of the two.
Fair.
Yeah,
has to be done sometimes. Yes. Yeah, this party was a little bit hefty for maybe what it is. I don't know yet, but lovely nose. I've missed a nose like that. Big, it's juicy, it's fruity.
It's definitely one of those.
Yeah, maybe not a touch of sort of sourness to it, but almost kind of edging on a like a really ripe kind of mango.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe a bit more melony, maybe a bit sweeter than mango, but very nice nose. Obviously, it's just thick as fuck in the just a solid block of colour. It's like there's no light getting through that. Head's dissipated very nicely as well, but
good looking.
Good looking beer. It's got a bit of body to it. Not much, not as much as maybe the block of colour suggests. Yeah. Maybe gives a little bit more, or it is a little less viscous than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, when I drank it, the thing that I noticed is that it was very easy. It's like you could put away 2 pints of that easily and just you don't feel that heaviness or that viscosity.
Yep.
Quite easy.
Yeah, absolutely. And flavour-wise, it's lovely. maybe a little bit of like lychee or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly different to the nose, but only a touch, and it has that kind of, as you get with lots of modern dippers, a little bit of earthiness to it as well. Kind of trying to draw through maybe the sweeter sort of fruits, the juicier notes, into a little light bitter finish as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that there's almost two bitternesses kind of going on. I've got one sort of at the back of my mouth, and then one like right here, right at the front. And I don't know whether it's the sort of two flavors trying to do different things, or whether it's that transition between going, we're just going to give you a very big experience on all of your, flavor receptacles everywhere in your mouth. But
all your orifices.
That'd be an interesting tent at the beer festivals next year. Yeah, the orifice experience beer in all of your orifices.
We're only 5 years away from that. Let's be real.
But this is, it's nice. I can see it, and I'll come back to it, obviously, at the end of the episode to give some more thoughts if there are any. With that kind of very like high sweetness, going into maybe a little bit of mango, some of that lychee flavour, into that kind of more earthy note, I can see it maybe becoming a little bit what's the word I'm looking for? Like a little bit too much as I kind of
cloying.
Get through it. Yeah, exactly. Maybe a little bit kind of cloying. Maybe just a little too sweet. I'm not quite. Again, I can't remember what we said about the beer last year. We all drank it. It's a previous episode. I think we had Tom from We Are Beer on when we all had it. I think. And I kind of expected, I don't know what I expected from it this year, really. Colour-wise and smell-wise, looks like it should be kind of a bit chewy, a bit more viscous, as I say. So it's nice that it's a little lighter. But I also kind of want it to be a little bit more chewy and a little bit more viscous. So we'll see how it goes towards the end of the episode. But very nice to start. Perfect. Let's talk about some games, Lucy. What have you been up to? What have you been playing? If anything at all.
Ben, I've been doing a lot of tinkering with tech, which is my favourite thing to do.
Okay.
But I'll get to that in a second, because I think the last time we spoke, we talked about Iron Lung, the very short horror game. And I on that pod, I was at the time probably about halfway through and a bit indifferent about it. I think I've 180'd on that, and it's like it's a slow burn. I mean, as slow as you can be for a game that's like an hour, but it's very measured in its approach of how slow it builds up. But getting over the second half and then going into like the well, you can tell it's the end of the game, because like your underwater ship through this blood ocean is literally, the bolts are coming away from the seams, and it's like, I'm going to die here. And it's like, even knowing that, it's still just it still keeps that suspense. The atmosphere is great, and it did get me at the end, which is
okay, nice,
which is pretty good. So yeah, I completely not rescind, but probably should have played it all before giving my final thoughts to it. But yeah, very good horror game. Really enjoyed it.
Nice. Just for people who didn't catch last week's episode, just give a brief 30 seconds of kind of style and that sort of thing.
It's a first-person horror game, but it's not say your traditional, like say Outlast or Amnesia kind of game, because you're very much confined to this very small space. You're basically a convict in the semi-far distant future, and all humanity's gone. People are mining resources on all these different planets. There's this planet which has a blood ocean, and you're there to discover what is there in the blood ocean. For what purpose? You don't know. Basically, you're a convict. If you take pictures of whatever's in this blood ocean, your what's it called? Your sentence will be, rescinded, forgotten about. You'll be exonerated. You'll be free. But you soon realise that you're in this basically very small ship that's called an iron lung. Very, very appropriate. And things you're not going to survive. But it's like, what kind of fate awaits you? Is your ship just going to, explode and you basically die from, I don't know, air pressure drowning or whatever? Or is it going to be some really creepy monster that's in the blood ocean that you're taking a picture of? And yeah, it's just, it's about navigating this blood ocean through this, these underground, basically caverns, and just taking a picture of whatever's down there. So yeah, it's that's the long and short of it, and it's
cool.
Yeah, about an hour. Very good.
Oh, nice.
I think it's
Super
like
short.
under £5 or something like that. It's cheap. So yeah.
Is that on Steam?
Yes, it is on Steam. I played it on my main computer. I think you could probably play it on Steam Deck. Which is basically my Steam Deck. I should just say that. My main computer now is my Steam Deck.
Yeah, it's $4.79 at the moment.
Yeah. I think I picked it up on sale, maybe. So yeah, it's probably about £3 or something. I picked it up for. Yeah, nice. Money well spent. Played anything else? I started Season.
Okay.
I want to give that some more time because that is also a slow burn.
It is. I have some thoughts about Season. I'm going to talk about them in a little bit because the only thing I have actually played this week. So.
Okay, so that's good. We'll get to that. HiFi Rush.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm just working my way through that. It's the kind of game I like where it's just like chapter by chapter. Well, the chapters are quite long, like sometimes like an hour per chapter. Okay. So, but yeah, I'm slowly getting through that because I'm really enjoying it. So it's like one of those where it's like I don't want to just gorge on it all in, a week or something. It's just a very nice treat now and then. That's the game from Tango, isn't it? Tango Gameworks. Yeah. That they shadow dropped recently. It's dumb fun. It's good. It's just I'm not good at rhythm games, but you don't have to be for this. Basically, the conceit of the game is it's sort of a action game, character action game in the vein of like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta. But every action and thing that goes on in the world is all set to this kind of like consistent in-game metronome where everything is done to the beat. Some really good music, good original music, some good licensed music. And yeah, it's just about this weird anime boy just being a bit of a dingbat, a bit of a himbo, and just messing up this corporation because he basically he got some kind of surgery done and his iPod Nano fused to his chest, and now he's some metronome king in this world, and he's just one of those. It's very strange.
Tiny little Nano just embedded on him.
Yeah, which I mean,
only 12 songs on it. Yes. 512 megabytes.
Over and over again. Yeah, but it's like just a throwback to how games used to be and when they were good, where it's like not everything has to be huge open world, because I thought it was open world at first because it very much reminded me of like Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot, that it's got the same sort of tones as Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, and I absolutely adored that game. Insomniac, yeah, that's why I knew Spider-Man was going to be good. It's like they made Sunset Overdrive, so they know what they're doing. Yeah, and a bit of it reminds me of what Recall should have been.
Okay.
Recall was you could tell the development on that was just something went wrong, and it came out, and it was like, this is a solid 6 out of 10. Maybe even drop it down to a 5. It could have been something like an 8 or something like that if it had a bit more time. Things didn't go wrong. This just seems like a storm in a teacup, sadly. It seems like something that won't happen going forward, which is a shame. And it's like, here's the blueprint, and here's how it could go. And I think everybody loves the game who's played it. It's like, here's how things could go, but they simply won't, because I just think, game development's hard. Everything's different. Every team's different. Every scenario's different. I just think this is an example of it, everything going right, and I think that's hard to capture or even replicate, which is a shame. But it feels like a very nice moment in time where everything just aligned. So yeah, it's really good. I'm gonna keep plugging away at it. I'm really enjoying it at the minute. So yeah, it's just a nice surprise, and it's good, solid gameplay. It looks fantastic. It runs incredibly well. The gameplay is fun. It's laugh out loud funny at times. It's really good. So yeah, nice. Definitely recommend it.
Good. It's interesting again that HiFi Rush is getting a lot of really good kind of buzz, as Pentiment did, and we've had this conversation about kind of how potentially Game Pass has allowed Microsoft studios to branch out a little bit and to play and experiment and have these smaller titles come out rather than having to, Tango Gameworks probably making another Evil Within game or whatever they're kind of working on.
I don't think that'll happen. Those games did not sell well.
They did not, no. But they generally make kind of bigger budget experiences, longer, bigger experiences. And HiFi Rush looks to be, as Pentiment did, that level of quality, but a slightly smaller product. I think I just had a look at HiFi Rush on Steam. It's only like 25 quid or something like that.
Jeez, that's nuts.
26.99 it is.
Wow.
So coming in at a much lower price point than plenty of other kind of first party games, all of those kinds of higher budget things. So it would suggest maybe it is not a side project necessarily, but just as like a secondary project to whatever the main team may be kind of working on.
They put out Ghostwire Tokyo last year, so maybe...
Was that Tango Gameworks as well? Yeah, maybe it was. Yeah. Jesus. What else are they making? Redfall, that's the other thing they're making.
That's Arcane, though.
That is Arcane.
Yeah, Arcane,
right.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like... when you look at the game, it's like... You could tell me the budget of this was the same as, I don't know, The Last of Us or something like that. How good it looks, and I think it's the approach to design, which is just like, having a core, mechanic and conceit, and it's like, okay, stick to that. Don't need 1,000 collectibles. Don't need 1,000 different RPG skill trees and stuff like that. It looks like something that has a very consistent and concise vision, and just executed flawlessly on that, because there's no sense of like overscoping with this. And I think this is what games should be. You know what I mean? It's like, why do we need everything in a game? Why do we need the kitchen sink as well? We don't. This is, I don't know. Oh, it just makes me despair thinking about it. It's just like...
what else was... who made Pentiment?
Obsidian,
who made like Pillars of Eternity and that kind of stuff. They made Grounded as well?
Yes.
So those two games were kind of being produced sort of side by side, I suppose. And maybe HiFi Rush was... you would imagine it was being developed at the same time as Ghostwire Tokyo, because Ghostwire only came out last year, didn't it? But I have just seen that they also made a game called Ghostwire Tokyo Prelude, the Corrupted Case File, which also came out last year, which is it's a prelude to the story of Ghostwire Tokyo. Not that I know what that story is, but it's a little visual novel game. It's free on Steam. I might just have a little play
that might be better than the actual game. Who knows?
Let's have a little look. It's nice that they have the time, or at least the they're allowed to kind of express and be able to do these smaller experiences. So there is definitely some benefit to coming under the Microsoft banner, although these games would have been in development before they came under the Microsoft banner, probably. At least Ghostwire Tokyo was. So you'd think that their visual novel-esque type game potentially was as well. I don't know about Obsidian, what was being produced before the takeover and stuff.
I think Grounded was. I think Pentiment was under Xbox umbrella. But I mean, that's the hope. I mean, because, the writing's on the wall for most of Xbox's big, flashy first-party games. I mean, stuff like Perfect Dark, Fable, that one Rare were making with the animals or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Hellblade 2. It's like they all go silent, and it's like... you know what I mean? I'd love it if there was a space where Microsoft could just be we're just going to publish mid-tier games, and that's it. It may not attract all the people in the world and sell like 16 million copies each, but I wish that could just be the foundation of like Game Pass that could make that, not like, keep Microsoft afloat, because that's ridiculous, like they're huge.
Yeah.
But just be the impetus for their gaming division. Whereas like Sony and, their gaming division is the biggest thing they have, and it's like, hey, we need these games to hit. But it'd just be nice. It's like, okay, Nintendo do all that, their friendly kid stuffy games. Microsoft, you do the mid-tier games. Sony, just do this third-person action. That's your thing. Just do that 1,000 times or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like, why can't they all just have their niche?
Well, I mean, absolutely. But also being allowed to kind of have those games that branch out, whether they are like even much smaller experiences than something like Pentiment or HiFi Rush, which aren't say mid-tier but are those crazy little experiments to be able to play with, or they go, cool, our next really big game is going to be like Wolfenstein 3, not in the vein of the one with the twins in, whatever that was called, but
Young
back with BJ and like proper Wolfenstein 3, but similar to the, as part of a continuation of that rebooted sort of series. And they go, this is our big like $70 game, because you are getting that quality, you're getting that feel of gameplay that you want. I mean, it's a bigger experience and all of those sorts of things, with no added bullshit or anything else kind of put into it, just as a product that they can go, cool, here it is, bam. And then like one of those a year, great, do that with then like 4 mid-tier kind of games that come out, and then maybe again 5 or 4 much smaller, almost indie level kind of experiences, a little 5-hour experiences. It's just that would be perfect. And Microsoft themselves can go, we are the gaming experience.
Gaming.
We can cover it all for you if you really want to. You never need to go anywhere else. That could be the thing that keeps people to Game Pass, if they have that level of game that is being churned out.
It's just sad how I agree with everything you say, but it's just sad how we view like the size of the games equals the budget and stuff like that. It's, well, not us personally, but other people. And it's like Pentiment, like the amount of different narrative threads. It's just thinking this must have been like 1,000-page, document that somebody just wrote of all the, story threads and how all these interconnected things are happening. And like HiFi Rush, like just looking at the production values in terms of like the art style and the animation and stuff like that, it's like that it belies the smaller budget. It's like, why does the game have to cost like a gazillion pounds just to be like the tent pole thing? Why can't Pentiment be the tent pole thing?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I think it's interesting if you take it to a almost like a price per hour or per day of development, right? Actually, are they on a par with them? But because they're a smaller experience that isn't quite as intricate, it's just produced a lot quicker. So let's say, for instance, that the new Wolfenstein game has taken 4 years to develop, but they're running at a development cost of like £1,000 a day or something. Doesn't mean that you can't do a short game that comes out in a year, which is still at that £1,000 a day kind of budget. That runs in the same sort of thing. You've still got a team of 5 artists, 5 programmers, 20 support staff, and all of these other people. And I suppose it makes sense in a financial model to be able to go, cool, we're hitting out a product every X amount of time to be able to keep that revenue and keep that cash flow churning. Not that Microsoft need to really worry about that, but rather than then going, cool, it's all free on Game Pass, don't worry about it, like, which they seem to have now pinned themselves to. So it might be that they're not really thinking about games in that sort of sense of going, well, we know that the quality is going to be there because we've got the team. Sure, it's a 5-hour experience. It's taken you 6 months to make because you have that size of team and that quality of what you need to be able to sort of do this. But unless either of us start working, I think, for Microsoft, which is highly unlikely.
Just wait till I get in there. I'll be like, that Halo, scrap it. That, I like Fable, but scrap it. Perfect Dark, no one's going to remember that in the year 2023. Scrap it, you know what I mean? Just make point and clicks and Metroidvanias. And we'll be alright.
Change it all completely. Perfect.
Yeah. Shall I talk about my tech tinkering?
Yes, please. Oh, absolutely.
Well, Sir Ben, even though the customs fee absolutely scarred me, it was worth it to get my Analogue Pocket. Oh, there's my reflection.
Nice.
Very shiny screen. Which I ordered more than a year ago. I think it was 2021 at this point. Okay. So it's been a long time coming. And I sort of just like, I forgot about it and stuff like that. And I think people got theirs. And then it sort of came back into the news for nerds. It sort of came back into like the zeitgeist because it's like, can load Open FPGA on this thing, which for anyone who doesn't know, short pitch is that basically you can load all these cores for like different consoles onto it and then just drag and drop ROMs and then just play it. Everything's done. And I was always considering, should I get a Mister? Should I get a Mister to, play all these old games? And it's like, I didn't go down that route, which is fortunate because basically this just does the same thing, but it's in my hand, Obviously you can play off cartridges. I mean, we're not going to get sued because nobody listens.
You own all of the games, of course.
I own all of the games, like
just downloaded
Tetris.
them as ROMs for ease. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I own all these games. Generally though, I do own some of these games, and I'm very annoyed because I have Game Boy and Game Boy Color and stuff cartridges. I just don't know where they are. I know exactly what case they're in. I just don't know where they're somewhere in this room. But if I go searching for them, that's opening up a can of worms because it's just like, okay, I have 6 tubs of just wires for no reason.
You're just weeping. You can't open your door anymore. Just weeping at your door. I'm stuck here forever now.
Yes, and it's like, I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. So yes, for ease, get the ROMs of the games that I already legally own. But yeah, it's funny because in the Nintendo Direct yesterday they announced, Game Boy, what is it? Just Game Boy, and it must be Game Boy Color as well, and Game Boy Advance games are coming to Nintendo Switch Online or whatever. It's like, cool. I've got them all here. It's just like, the day I loaded all those cores onto the Analogue Pocket was the day they announced that. So yeah, I can just load up Super Mario Bros. 3 and just play that like whenever I want, which could have always done, but it's just like it's not the same unless it's just very easy access, which this is. No, I don't want to play Flintstones.
But now you're set. You've got the Steam Deck. You've got the Analogue Pocket. You've got the Playdate. You're done. You don't even need to leave your chair.
I'm done until the next new thing comes along, and I inevitably buy it for no reason. So yeah. But anyway, Super Mario Bros. 3. So yeah, I'm just gonna probably spend the next week just loading a ton of games onto it and never playing them. So
brilliant.
Because that's what Lucy does. She tinkers and then she doesn't even play the game. So
when I had a DS, I think it was called a 4DS or a D4S or something like that. Essentially a cart which had a micro SD in it that you could just stick ROMs on and stuff. And one of the amazing things about that was that I got to experience all of these games that were kind of Asian markets only. Things like Elite Beat Agents and stuff like that, which didn't see releases over here. And I suppose that the Analogue kind of opens you up to that as well, to potential of all of these games you've just never, not heard of, but at least kind of had the opportunity to play as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much license crap on like GBA, and it's like, do I want to play that? No, but will it be fun just to drag and drop? I don't know. Give me a very average, probably Disney-based film from the 2000s.
Finding Nemo.
Yeah, Finding Nemo. Yeah, Finding Nemo.
It's got to be a Finding Nemo game.
Oh, okay. Or Nintendo DS.
So like Cars or something like that. Just
there's probably about 60 Cars games. Like, I've just typed in.
None of them are racing games.
There's Finding Nemo, Escape to the Big Blue. If I just wanted to see what that is, I can.
You can. Yeah, perfect.
Or Finding Nemo, The Continuing Adventures. 2 games in one, Finding Nemo and The Incredibles.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Disney Pixar Finding Nemo. There's Finding Nemo and there's Disney Pixar Finding Nemo.
There's the license and then there's the unlicensed license.
Jesus. Yeah. If I ever want to play that, I can. And just drag and drop within seconds, Ben. Within seconds. So I'm happy.
Are you going to a reputable Analogue Pocket kind of affiliated site for these ROMs?
No, ROMs you can find anywhere. Just look on Reddit and just say, where am I not going to get a virus? And there are many places where you won't get a virus. So, but the actual thing to load onto the Open PGA thing is, oh gosh, you can also find that's on some forum elsewhere as well. But it's like the dude or the dudettes, they just like, here you go, just put that on the SD card, and they even put like the updater file, which is just like when you want to update your Analogue Pocket when you first get it. That was even on there, so it's like it's just so easy now, because it used to be apparently used to have to like load every core individually, like drag and drop mini folders onto it. But now it's just like automated. You just run the executable and it's done. And it's just like 2 minutes. Fabulous.
Nice.
I love this. I remember when, because Analogue obviously can't be like, they have to say, you have to own the cartridges,
Yes, of course.
it's to run cartridges and stuff like that. You have to own the copies and stuff like that. But if, per se, someone, got this running on the Analogue Pocket, then what can we do? So the minute that they literally just cut that ribbon, someone just raced right through, and it was like there the next day, and it was like, thank you. I love the internet. I love nerds. This is good for preservation, if anything. So yeah, and it just makes this I can't even remember how much it was. Let's say £300 piece of plastic, just exponentially more valuable to me. So yeah,
absolutely. And it I love that there must be some kind of limitation on the form factor that it's allowed, or some patents that Nintendo kind of have out there, which must have expired, I suppose, for them to be able to have the form factor that they do.
It's very
ergonomic. Again, the original, and even the what was it? What was the smaller Game Boy called? I don't know. Game Baby.
Baby.
I don't know what
it's pretty much the same layout and stuff like that. So,
just obviously a little bit of a better screen.
Yes, a much better screen. Yeah. Really nice screen.
Perfect.
Happy days.
Nice, good. Should we move on to season then?
Yeah.
I'll delve into it a little bit and try not to give too much away. If you want still to sort of play it over the next week or so, Lucy.
Yeah, I've started it. I've got it probably hour and a half in or something like that.
Yeah. Season. What's it for its full title?
A Letter to the Future?
Yes, Season, A Letter to the Future. It is a very, very pleasant game. It's not quite a walking sim. It asks a little more of you than that. But it's similar in its kind of, I suppose, aesthetic, as well as what it's asking you to do is something like Firewatch. Similar to Alba, I think, which was again titled Alba, A Wildlife Adventure, something like that. More so in terms of its kind of gameplay, taking photos, making notes, and those kinds of things. But you are, and again, I don't think you ever know the name of the character. I don't think the name is spoken at the start of the game. At least I don't know what the name is of this character. But this girl who is kind of sent on her way in this fantasy world to...
Shall we call her Lucy? She's got short hair. She's black and she wears glasses.
She does, yes. They need to be sort of circular slightly, but that's good. You've got you cosplay halfway there. You just need massive trousers now, and a sweater thrown over your shoulders,
and a bike.
Yeah.
And the will to actually go outside.
Yeah, so. Well, that's true. That's a big part of this game. She's kind of sent out to chart the world, or the known world, before the turning of the season. And there's a lot to read in this, in kind of what's presented, in what seasons are, what happens to people when a season sort of turns over, the world as it progresses, and the idea that there's almost this kind of like reset button. So you very quickly find out that in the last season, it was full of like a war, essentially. The season before that, I think they're called the Golden Season, like a golden age of people traveling and art and all of those kinds of things, and invention and that sort of stuff. And how between these seasons, people are not quite reset, but that things change. And as there going to be another kind of change, you're sent out to chart what's going on. And it allows you to just explore this kind of semi-open area of different spaces through different levels. And it's both good and bad in how it kind of delivers on that. I found that the movement, especially in the beginning through the town, again, is very easy, very natural. You've got a camera, you've got a sound, kind of microphone and recorder, and you can just do those at your leisure. Take photos as you want, and take sounds as you want. You can then chart them in your book and fill up different pages kind of in your book as you go through. You get a bike as you leave the town to then traverse around, and the bike feels great. When you're rolling down a hill or you're going across the countryside, the bike feels really smooth and really nice to ride. There's some parts where the path narrows and gets a little more difficult. The turning circle on the bike is quite wide, as it would be on a bike, to be fair. But there's a few little snags that I hit, and I'm like, it would have been so easy for me to have just coasted through that little bit of, yes, there's some rocks there, but actually if you'd have just made them sort of a little bit transparent, I could have just coasted through that little bit. There's a little bit of inflexibility in sort of the pathing, I think, on some of the sections, not all of it at all, but just a few little snags. And that's a bit of a shame when the game wants you to explore. When it's opened up and it's like, what's over here? What's just behind these kinds of this area? You're already in this little area. There's tents, there's tables, there's different things going on. Have a look, take some photos. Oh, what's that kind of just behind here? And it invites you to sort of explore the spaces and stuff. And I think it needs to do that a little bit better when you're on the bike as well.
Right.
I think that is almost my only criticism of it.
Okay.
I enjoyed very much the writing. It's a very short game. It's only maybe 5 or 6 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I thought it was longer than that.
No, I did as well. So when I went into this, I thought it was, and it had been promoted by PlayStation on one of their kind of state of play videos at some point, and I thought, oh, this is going to be like a keener kind of level of experience, but it's a much smaller experience than that. I don't think that's a bad thing at all, as we've previously
that's
been
music
talking
to
about.
my ears, to be honest. Yeah.
And I think that if I'd have been asked to go around on the bike much more, I would have started to have got frustrated, rather than being sort of like, it's a bit of a pain. I'd have started to get annoyed at what it was kind of asking me to do if it had gotten a bit more finicky than it kind of was.
That's fair. I think where I'm again, I'm very early on, even if it's like only 6 hours. I'm an hour and a half in, so very much still early game at that point. But I think I'm glad it's short, because I'm not someone who goes into games and plays around with like photography mode or anything like that. It's like I don't maybe I am the gamer I was slating when we were talking earlier, but I need like some kind of objective to go and go to areas, and unless the games are really good and it's just like something like, I don't know, Breath of the Wild, it's like, what's that on the horizon?
Sure.
I think where I a bit with this, it's like, oh, okay, I kind of seen like the landmarks that it's like, you want me to go over there, and take a picture or record the sounds and stuff like that. But even this early on, it's not a chore, but it's like, I just need a little bit more to give me more impetus to really enjoy it. Yep. It's like, I'll do it because that's what the game is pushing me towards and it's designed towards. I just wish at this moment in time there's a bit more, a bit more reward. Like as you say, the writing's really good, but it's like, it's talking about a time that has happened, and I'm not quite sure what happened in this world and like how much the game is going to go into that by the end of it. If it's only 6 hours, is this going to be a completely fleshed out world that I'll actually care about, even though it's long since gone? And the apocalypse, am I going to care about that? It's like, I'm not quite sure at this moment in time, but maybe I'm just a bit too premature and with my thoughts on that. So
yeah, I think for me, it definitely grew on me. You are pretty much alone for the first stretch of the game. You know, you're not coming across kind of any characters and stuff, and then you do start to come across a few other characters, and you get a little bit of dialogue and doing other things with characters, and that definitely helps. I think if they'd have introduced another character, maybe in the first town, to talk with and do stuff with, or maybe even in the sort of the second area, it would have just transitioned, you know. But it does touch on the idea that actually she's been traversing this world for a little bit and she feels quite lonely, and there's little hints at some of these kinds of areas as well. And I think some of the very short sort of flavor text and writing works really well. Like you can take a photo of something that's in the distance, and suddenly she'll tell you something about it. You're like, oh, okay, cool. I've triggered that little bit of text. Actually, that will then produce, rather than it being a photo necessarily, or when you record something, it's like a hand drawn thing that can go in the book.
Yeah.
And I think it tries to get you to care about the world in that sort of way. Like,
that's where I'm struggling. Where it's like, I like the writing, but it's like it feels like a really well-crafted start of a joke with no punchline. It's like, where is this going? Where is the meat?
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got the good foundations of something, but where's the meat?
Yeah, and I think it sort of focuses maybe a little bit too much on fill the book up. Like the idea is to fill the book up. Like that's the whole point. You're going on the journey. But it's quite forgiving in that you only need to do a few entries on a page for it to be kind of completed.
Yeah, and that's my worry, where it's like I fill the page and I just want to move on, rather than seek out everything.
Yep.
And that's where there's just a disconnect for me so far. So
yeah. I think it was interesting. I enjoyed the ending. I think it paid off well enough for me as I sort of played through. As I said, you meet some characters, and I thought they were well thought out. It's a beautiful looking game.
I like it. I don't know if it's that great on Steam Deck. I haven't really told with any of the settings or anything. I'll probably get it up on my main PC just to look at it in that sense. But I think it slightly struggles on Steam Deck. I might download it on the main PC and give it a whirl on there.
Yeah, it's not quite anime style. It's not quite sort of Studio Ghibli-esque, but it's in that kind of wheelhouse. Lots of lovely colours. The textures work really well. I think the lighting is something that's actually one of the big draws of it, and how shadows are cast, and there's a little bit of changing of kind of weather as you're moving through the world and stuff, and that works really well. Sound wise, I know Connor was chatting in the Discord. He had a problem with some of the voice dialogue, and there being some issue with that, but I haven't found that on PC. I think he was playing on PS5, but I haven't found that on PC at all. I've had no issues at all with this game. It's a very well put together product. And I think it is, at least for me, it was inviting enough to keep me pulling through. Even if it was just to be like, cool, what's the next area that I'm going to? How does that look? Cool, I've got a page and it's giving me a little hint of what I might put into it. How does that actually work? And I think I completed every page. I might not have got every possible entry, but I completed every page. So I sort of maxed out almost, what I could kind of get from it. But I didn't ever, as I was saying, like there could be that feeling that you're just filling the page for the sake of it. I don't think I ever got to that point with it, because it doesn't outstay its welcome. And I think that's the big thing.
Even if this game has like nothing to say, like I'd be much more forgiving if it is like 5-6 hours than if it's like, a 13-hour game. It's just just what I've experienced so far. It's like something like it's obviously portraying itself. Like I think the opening's quite emotional. I think it's obviously portraying itself as something that's meant to be moving and quite meaningful. Something like, I don't know, Citizen Sleeper or Kentucky Route Zero. It's just like I care more about those worlds. I think they're just way more intriguing right off the bat than what this is putting forward. But I will give it some more time and, let it flesh out its world a bit more. And yeah, I'll see how it goes. I get it's meant to be like, as it's meant to be a slow burn. It's meant to uncover things slowly and stuff like that. Maybe that just needs to go a bit more of a quicker pace for me so far. So, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I could very much see them building on this and having something, with that kind of like bike mechanic in it, but maybe something a bit more open world with a bigger fleshed out kind of environment with people to talk to and those kinds of things. I didn't know whether this studio had made anything before, Scavenger's Studio, and having a look, they made Darwin Project, which is a battle royale game.
Oh yeah,
a couple of years ago. So it's a bit of a pivot into this. Interestingly,
I think that's sort of like what it feels like. Like you pick up a note, you pick up a letter, and it feels like set dressing for a battle royale game or an open, something like that, where you're mainly just shooting guns, and it's like, oh, we're just going to put a bit of like environmental storytelling, but it's just a letter. And it's like, will this conclude? Will I find out what this is about? Will I know who wrote this or where they were? Sort of like, I don't know, in The Last of Us, we always go back to like Ish's letters. It's like that was a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like, this just feels like something that all these little things feel very disconnected, and it feels like, is this gonna, am I gonna find out more? Is this gonna be attached to the world at whole? How does this fit into the rest of the narrative and stuff like that? So that's my issue so far.
Fair. I won't talk to that point. I'll allow you to sort of experience and come to your own conclusion on that. But I think I'm becoming more open to a level of ambiguity. I recently watched all of Atlanta, and it's the Donald Glover kind of dark drama comedy show.
Right.
4 seasons, I think, and I thought that ended very, very well. Just with a level of ambiguity that will infuriate some people.
Yes.
The same as the way Sopranos finished. The idea that there is just that kind of cut.
I really wanted to see him get like a bullet through the head, but that's just me. Yeah.
The final thing I will say about Season is not that I'm going to play it through again, even though it is a short experience, but there is a little bit of agency. So with some of the character interactions that you have, there will be a few choices as to how you answer questions, and a few different choices you make in terms of actions. And it isn't, oh, maybe I could do this or maybe I could do this. It is just, you've chosen that. That's it. There's no extra option to explore that path of dialogue or to say, oh, I've got to either do this or I've got to do this. You do that, cool, done. That character is now gone. You're like, oh, okay. That's kind of nice. That it is a bit like, we're talking about the sort of the fragility of the world, the kind of the temporal movement of people through this, and it's like, here's your interaction, it's done. Like,
yeah,
okay, that reinforces it that little bit more as well. So yeah, I say agency, it is more of a binary choice as to kind of which you want to pick in terms of sort of responses and things, but at least it isn't, oh, now we'll just explore all 12 of these different conversations that we could have, unlike other sorts of experiences. So yeah, I've enjoyed it. Don't know if it will be something, as I say, I would go back to see if there's much difference in those changes in the choices, or even to experience everything, because I've filled up the book, so I don't think there's anything I've missed. But yeah, it'd be interesting to hear your kind of like final thoughts when you've sort of got through it.
Yes, I need to stop tinkering with tech and get back to it.
Oh no, tinker more. Definitely tinker more with tech.
I've run out of tech to tinker with. I need to buy more.
We'll have to wait for the next big release. What would the next big thing be?
Yeah.
Who knows? Some VR, which you're never going to play anyway. So actually, we'll scrap that.
Isn't that PlayStation 2 VR, whatever it
Yeah.
is, coming out soon? Yeah.
I think that's this year. I think that's in like a month, actually.
Yeah, no, it's this year. I'm not sure when.
I think that's very,
I think
very
the last
soon.
thing I saw that they weren't hitting their sales projections or something like that. VR's in a weird space, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. VR's always going to be, at least I think VR will always be that niche product. Yeah, completely.
Yeah. For the freaks, the perverts.
Well, it's like, hey,
that's why I feel there's two headsets.
We got rid of one.
It doesn't matter. He's still a freak.
It's apps. I think it's one of those like mainstream market. Cool, you've paid £400 for a console. Now pay £400 or £500 for a slightly different way to experience some slightly different games. If you just want to play Call of Duty or FIFA, which is 70% of the console market. And it's not going to proliferate into that, is it? It's you know, it is us. It's the kind of people that we are that buy these extra bits and want to experience lots of different things in games that would purchase it. It just then needs to be sold to us, I suppose. And I don't think either of us are that interested in.
I'd die in one of those headsets. I'd just crumple with my motion sickness. That would be the end of me. If you want to euthanize me, just put me in a VR headset. Won't take long.
Well, I mean, Palmer Luckey did come out and release a VR headset that did have a death thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what a weird product to produce.
I think he's just making like weapons for the army now, so we'll just leave that conversation well alone.
Likely.
Yeah.
Should we finish there for this on that joyous thought? And we'll come back to beers. Lucy, I imagine your beer you finished quite a while ago now.
Yeah, probably about 15 minutes ago. Yeah, it's really nice. I'd have that again. Just a really well-made, well-balanced beer. I'm going to buy some more Burning Sky in the future.
Good.
I can see why they're highly rated, highly thought of. Maybe it's because I conflated them with somebody else. Isn't there one with similar name or something like that? Another Sky something.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know my reasoning for not buying them, but
can art. Blame can art. Who knows?
Yeah, I like the can art. Got a look to it. A lot of young people enjoy it. I don't like the can art. It's young people.
It's young people, yes. I think their can art is always very similar as well. It's the same sort of setup of young people, slightly different tones of colour, and then just the title of whatever their beer is. You know, they've kept it very simple.
Maybe that's why. It's like, I'm not young. I don't enjoy myself. Why would I?
You see it and think, I must have had that beer before. It looks very similar to beers that I have had. Yeah, potentially.
But yeah, very good beer.
Good.
I'd love to smash it on one of those.
I think I'd smash another Putty.
Oh, I would. I definitely would have.
Yeah,
I tasted.
I think I'd maybe just want to have it like by the third, though. So you get that first half of it. In the can, it did fade as my palate became acclimatized kind of to it. And I wonder whether a fresh pour, whether it's on tap, you've had a third, it started to dwindle very slightly, whether a fresh pour would just pick that flavour back up again. Because it did kind of lose a little bit of its juiciness and moved more into that kind of, as I got off the nose, that slightly maybe sour melon and that earthiness were then the main sort of pushes. Lost a little bit of its bitterness as well. The viscosity, I think, again, if it had started thicker, that might have just driven it through the entire can. So I I'm kind of in two minds. I would like to have another one of these, but only if I almost reset and experience a fresh kind of element to it, or if I'm just going to drink, if someone else cracked a can and I had a quick sip, whether it tastes, because my palate is acclimatized to this exactly as I've just been kind of drinking, really.
Yeah.
Because I want that first bit more than I want this kind of finish.
I think when I had it 2 halves and then a third, so...
Okay.
But that was because I was like, I have to be an adult and function and not have a hangover.
Fair.
Life sucks. Like, why do I feel guilty about getting trashed? It's like, I shouldn't feel guilty that day. I should feel guilty the next day.
Yes.
I'm hungover.
Yes.
Yeah. But now I'm just like, no, I should feel guilty that day and not do it. That's what becoming an adult is.
It's age, mate. It's exactly.
Yeah, it's like, maybe I shouldn't just be reckless. And that sucks.
Be as reckless as you can for as long as possible.
I'd like to. I know the consequences of that.
The thing that changes everything is very small people. Stay away from them as long as you possibly can.
Absolutely. With 10-foot pole. Get rid of them.
Brilliant. If you, dear listener, have had either of the beers that we've drank or played any of the games that we have discussed this evening, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Come and join us on the Discord. We can shoot you a link if you wish. I'm at Nova_47. Lucy is
Juicy Loose 9.
And we are at Tanked Upcast on both Twitter and Instagram. Not that we're there very much, to be fair, because they're both awful. But yeah.
Quick aside. I downloaded TikTok because I wanted to see this cat and his girlfriend. Someone on Twitter posted, this is how bad it is. I see something on Twitter and they say it's on TikTok, and that's how I get there. But anyway, someone was like saying there's no big cats at the moment, famous cats like Grumpy Cat or this
Garfield.
Yes. Real life
real cats, right? Sure.
And apparently they're all on TikTok, and
right.
If there's anything Lucy likes, it's a cat video. So I joined TikTok, and holy Christ, is that a hellscape? I thought like Instagram and Twitter were hellscapes, but TikTok, it's like it just shows you things. You have no agency about what you see.
Wow, okay.
It's just like you open the app and it's like video, 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 and it's like stop. I didn't consent to this. And it's just like, what are these weird people? It's like I just wanted to look at the cat Sad Boy and Lola. I followed that and I closed the app, and I haven't been back to it since because it scared the life out of me. It's just like there was just all these icons. The user interface is awful. It's like I don't know what I'm watching. I don't know who it's by, and it just moves on to the next one. It's like no, what I fear for the next generation.
No, absolutely. Just hide. I'm just going to stay away from all this stuff. However, if we ever get to the point of we did start developing, Adol started developing a Patreon. If we ever get to that, one of the goals or tiers at least should be Lucy doing beer reviews on TikTok, and it's just you working out how to do it, essentially.
I don't understand.
No beer
I'll be
reviews,
like,
just...
where's the camera? How do I film? And just like, I try. My friend wanted me to try Snapchat once, and I was like, they were like, you don't do it this way, and I was like, I won't do it at all then. I don't know what I'm doing.
Brilliant. Like, so you can't get us on any of these things. Where it's Twitter or it's the much unloved Instagram, which we haven't been onto for a very, very long time. We've all got jobs. We're all busy. We've all got stuff to do. Social media.
I've got tinkering to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Social media is a whole job in itself.
It is.
So come to our Discord instead, and chat to us there. Go to outoflives.net as well to see articles. And if you're listening to us in audio, go to our YouTube to see the beers that we have been drinking. I think that's all the places. Rate and review us on your podcast service of choice, because it's always incredibly helpful. And we will see you again next week. We've been tagged up. Bye-bye.
Obligatory ciao.
www.outoflives.net